So how's this go? You talk first, I talk first.
Nice. Is that going to be our cold open?
Yeah, I think so.
I like it.
I've been sitting on that one for days.
All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
Mother Goose, standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Animal Squadron podcast. This is your hairiest host, Mother Goose.
And this is obviously not HouseDog, the Minoc. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, so today we have, sadly, our first episode without HouseDog. Don't worry, he's okay. He just had a work trip that he has to be gone for a little bit, so today it's just going to be good old T-Nell and I.
Everybody strap in. It's going to get wild.
It's going to get wild. Today we figured we'd just keep it a little light. We're going to be talking about our top 5 favorite Jedi. I'm definitely excited. I think this should just be a chill conversation. Unless it's not, maybe Tuck and I majorly disagree and we'll never be friends again. But let's find out.
I like it. I love how this podcast has just forced us as friends to just constantly play a game of friendship Monopoly.
Exactly.
Where
exactly.
you never know if we're gonna end up friends after this. You never know.
Yeah. It's always a little adventure to see how things are at the end of the podcast. So I don't know about you, but I did top 5, like I said, favorite. Just to clarify, did you do favorite or your top 5? What you think would be most powerful?
I did my top 5 favorite.
Nice.
Now that quickly turned into 2 honorable mentions that I think I'm gonna have to talk about.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah. No, I mean I have my top 5. I'll just go ahead and say it. Like, I definitely love the Jedi. They're probably my favorite group in Star Wars, honestly.
Nice.
I know some people are Sith people, some people are Jedi people. I'm a Jedi person. That's just how I feel.
Yeah, and I think even with I think with the Mandalorian and Rebels and the Clone Wars, I think the Mandalorians are definitely up there as some people's favorite faction. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of the crime syndicates.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I like the Pikes. Yeah. The Pikes are sick.
The Pikes are sick. Let me ask you, how do you feel about the Pikes visually? Because I know, I think in Clone Wars and Rebels, and then in The Mandalorian and in Book of Boba Fett, they just have very different looks.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I acknowledge they look different every time, but I think the main thing though is like the basics are always the same. Like the big eyes, the breathing through the tube, the like weird shaped heads, or whatever that is, like how their heads kind of turn into like a diamond kind of shape.
Yeah.
They're huge. Like those look loosely the same. I think honestly with like Mandalorian and Boba Fett, and then also even in Solo, whenever we saw them live action for the first time, I think honestly that's just a particular alien that's kind of hard to make look good in live action. Yeah. So they're just straight up trying some things, I think, until they find one that looks good.
Yeah. The only reason I ask, I saw a meme about it a couple days ago, and a lot of people in the comments were like, well, what if they're different, like, ranks?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's why we see the differences, or maybe even they're different, like, sections? Like they're all Pikes, but maybe there's different groups within the Pikes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, and also, like the Hutts, they have their own planet, don't they?
I'm not sure. I'm not too caught up with the Pike lore. I just crime syndicate, bad guys, do bad things sometimes. That's what I know.
Well,
Diamond Head.
I guess even yeah, it's true. Diamond Head, breathe through tube, talk funny. Me like Pike, but I think maybe it's kind of like what I was saying about Yoda and his species. Like, I wonder if they're just from different regions and they just look different. Like, what if they have like sub races, kind of like humans do, like different ethnicities and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, that'd be actually. I really like that idea.
Yeah, it's just a guess, but and then also the rank thing's interesting because it does seem like every time we see Pikes, it's different situations. Like, so during Clone Wars, whenever you see them, usually it's like, the really high ranking Pikes because they're dealing with Dooku directly.
Right.
But then like other ones, or like in Solo, of course, that's like one of the head Pikes. I mean, that's kind of talked about in there. But then like in Boba Fett and Mando, I mean, those might just be like your working class Pikes, like just the ones who beat people up and get the money. They're not necessarily the bigwigs.
Yeah. Should we start talking about the Jedi?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Dope. So I do want to clarify, I have talked a lot on this podcast that, I stand by what I said. I do think the Jedi needed to die for there to be balance in the Force. But that doesn't mean I hate them. I do think they're really cool.
I mean, I don't know. I really, I disagree with that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I don't think they needed to die. But also, I mean, I think they need to die for Palpatine's plan.
Yeah.
But as far as it being the Force's will, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's just be real. Anakin's probably on both our lists somewhere. So we can kind of dive into that a little more once we get there.
Yeah, actually, hot take. He's one of my honorable mentions.
Ooh, okay. Well, should we do like we did the music episode? We can do 5 through 2, do honorable mentions before our new number 1.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Great. Sounds good. So I'll go first because I think I've got a hot one.
All right.
If I'm being honest, a year ago I would have never put this Jedi on this list. But for the memes, this has been the Jedi I have thought most about for the last couple months because of this podcast.
Oh,
you know it. You know it's gotta be Yariel Poof.
I mean, hey, at least he's a council member,
At least he's a council member. I mean it though. Like a couple months ago, I knew he existed. I'd seen him in the movies. I didn't know he had a name.
Yeah.
I was just like, I didn't even realize he wasn't, like, I thought he was one of the Camino. I didn't realize he was a different species.
Oh, he is a different species?
I'm pretty sure. What it is, I have no clue. But I think they're very similar, but I'm pretty sure he's not from Camino. It's all in, like, the head shape.
Okay. But also, like, he still has the dome, like the Kaminoan, like, round head.
And the long neck, yeah.
And the weird horse goat leg things.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, they have hooves, kind of. Yeah.
Tuck, why you been looking at their feet?
It's interesting.
Explain yourself.
In order to understand different aliens, you got to look at their whole body.
Including the doggers.
Yeah, exactly. And if they have hooves, I got to know.
But I mean it, like, because of this podcast, I have not been able to stop thinking about Yariel Poof. Every episode, I'm like, are we going to talk about Yariel Poof today? I wonder if he's going to come up.
Yep. No, I actually, ever since Robot Chicken did their, like, skit with Yariel Poof, I've loved him just because I think that's really funny. Him just being the Jedi Council,
it's hilarious.
just Aaron's boy.
And it's so funny, like, in the Empire where he's just like a cook. He's just a cook for Palpatine.
Yeah. Yep. And
Doesn't
also
even
just
have
go
like a
ahead.
really fake mustache too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think he's wearing like the glasses and everything also. Like, it's real stupid, but it's funny.
Yeah, it's nowhere near canon, but it's funny enough that it's canon to me.
Oh yeah, well, and also like whatever, like our Tales of the Jedi episode where we were talking about him just getting Yaddle's dumpster and them just like
Right.
driving it around with his head sticking out because it's too short. That's just that's good stuff. I don't care who you are, that's funny.
He really is the Jedi I've thought the most about these last couple months.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think he deserves his number 5 spot. Is this the only top 5 list he'll ever appear in? Probably. But he deserves at least this one.
I think this should go down in some sort of Star Wars textbook kind of thing that Mother Goose was the first person to pioneer Yar Poof being on a top 5 list.
Listen, the whole point of this podcast now is to get Yariel Poof large enough to get his own spin-off.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Let's do it.
Enough fan demand. Dave Filoni's gonna have to do it.
At least stick him in somewhere.
Hear me out. A Tales of the Jedi 3-part miniseries.
No, I think they should do a 6-parter on him.
6-part?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
It's mostly
Hell
just
yeah, Tuck.
It's mostly just him running errands, but it's still cool.
Please, Dave Filoni, make this canon.
We should tag him in to this episode. Just like put at Dave Filoni.
Yeah. I'm gonna figure out how to get back on Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna create us an Animal Squadron Twitter account. I'm gonna clip that conversation and I'm tweeting it at him.
And then also we could do like a GoFundMe thing, but it's just a petition and just see how many signatures we could get for our main man, Yar Poof.
Listen, if we get more than 5, I'm taking it as a success.
Oh yeah, no, and I will, if possible, march it straight down to Filoni's office if I have to.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, what about you, my friend? What's your not whole top 5? What's your number 5?
So, my top 5's a 2-parter.
Oh, okay.
So, I know we said top 5. There are 8 people on this list. I will acknowledge that.
Nice.
But,
okay. Sick.
So I put Yoda / Obi-Wan.
Okay. Interesting.
Reason being is Yoda, I think he was one of the last great ones. Like, at the end there, I really think the last great ones are everyone on my list, and then also, like, some other people, also including Obi-Wan. But, like, Yoda trained everybody. He was the Grand Master. Like, he made pretty good decisions overall. Now, a lot of the problems the Jedi had, I'm going to say that's more of a council problem and less of a Yoda problem.
Yeah.
Just because there's a lot of things that, honestly, he straight up doesn't agree with, even in the movies that they do anyway.
Right.
Also, who doesn't like to watch Yoda fight? It's really cool.
Hell yeah.
I mean, using what's that force power called where you can like catch it and then push it back? Like, that is so cool every time.
I have no clue,
isn't it like
but
force absorb or something like that?
probably yeah. And if anyone's confused, that's where Yoda catches the Sith lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then also, like, just as far as power level, like, dude, that dude walked in there and, like, the Emperor's guards, quite literally, their entire purpose was to keep Palpatine safe from even, like, lightsaber-wielding threats. And Yoda just clowns those dudes. He just, like, walks in there, whoom, and just throws them against the wall, and that's it.
Yeah, which it's so funny. I actually saw a meme on that. I think a couple days ago. It's was Kylo Ren and Rey fighting those guards for like, I don't know,
Yeah.
5-10 minutes. And then Yoda just walks in and tosses them.
Yeah, I mean, like, he is just... And then also, I really think that the entire reason that in Episode 3 he fights the Emperor and Anakin fights Obi-Wan is because I think, like, he and Obi-Wan both know deep down that Yoda's the only one who could take the Emperor.
Yeah.
And, like,
Well.
that's a lot of the decision. And, I mean, yeah.
He had it in his heart. He had it in his heart, and that's what matters.
Dude, he had that dog in him. He had that
Yeah.
dog in him. He was thinking like a champion. He just didn't become a champion, but it's okay.
It's okay. He lived, and that's more than Mace can say.
Dude, absolutely. And I mean, against the Emperor, that's a big deal. I mean, we're talking about, like, as far as force power, like someone who could definitely sense if you were alive or not,
Yeah,
and somehow Yoda made it. So I'd say that's pretty solid.
for sure.
And also further than I think Obi-Wan would have gotten with the Emperor. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Obi-Wan so much.
I do
So much.
I do too.
But there's no way he would have gotten that far.
Yep.
He would have been tossed around like a rag doll. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it would have gotten that far. And also, like, Palpatine, like, just how shifty he is, like, I don't know. I don't even think he'd, like, use a lightsaber just to clown him. Just to be just to show him that disrespect. He'd be like, no, I'm not even going to use a lightsaber.
With one hand, he'd be holding Obi-Wan in the air, and with the other hand, he'd be hitting him with Senate seats.
Yep, probably.
Now, I do think with a little more training and a little more experience, I think in time, Obi-Wan may have been able to beat Palpatine, but not then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of why Yoda would have been the better choice is experience. I mean, he's the man's like 900 years old. So,
Right.
he
He
knows
that
what he's doing.
dog in him.
He got that dog in him. I love it. But anyway, so the other half of my pick there was Obi-Wan, which we all love Obi-Wan. I mean, he's like the negotiator, and like I've talked about before, my favorite thing about Obi-Wan, if I could just sum him up as far as why he's so cool to me, is the fact that he's like the one like normal guy in his circle of people that he's around all the time. Like, like a lot of the Jedi are either like extremely powerful with lightsaber wielding, extremely powerful with force wielding. They're they're different aliens and they have mutations that help them. Nope, Obi-Wan's just a dude. Like that's the coolest part to me. Like he just his specialty is just outsmarting his enemy and beating them. I think that's awesome. And also the negotiator is a cool nickname. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And I think it really like sums up who he is. Like he'd much rather talk to you than fight you.
Mm-hmm.
But if he does need to fight you, he's gonna beat you because he has that dog in him.
He's got that dog in him. Yep. Yeah, I mean, and the just like emotional turmoil that he goes through, and the fact that he never falls to the dark side is so powerful.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, like quite literally, he loses everyone.
Let's be real. Let's be real here. He pretty much goes through what Anakin does, and he stays strong. I mean, we did see in Kenobi, he had a little bit of a depressive episode, but he never fell to the dark side.
Also, like, I definitely picture, a few times in the Jedi Temple where he probably did have some depressive episodes anyway.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yep. Like, like Anakin comes in and, like, he hasn't seen Obi-Wan for, like, a week, and Obi-Wan's just sitting on his bed with, like, a open pizza next to him. He hasn't shaved, and he's just like, "What's up?"
He's got the like sad indie music going on.
Yeah, I picture more just country, like just a
a
my girl left me kind of country music. Something
My
real
girl got killed by my mortal enemy.
Yeah. Yep. Or Obi-Wan. But also, like, and also, I would say what happens to Satine is, in some ways, worse. Now, I mean, I know, like, there was no kids involved, which that makes it worse. But, like, as far as, like, emotionally, how Obi-Wan feels, like, I mean, okay, maybe it's equally as bad. Or slightly below. But anyways, like, think about all the things that he never got to tell her.
Yeah.
And, like, all the things, like, he never got to talk to her about. And, he didn't even get to see... Or no, he does see her die, doesn't he? Yeah, he does.
In front of his eyes, he holds her freshly lifeless corpse in his arms.
Yeah, that hurts. That hurts. Like, at least, like, Anakin, he just heard about Padme's death. Like, he didn't actually have to, like, watch it.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic, Satine's nephew, quote unquote, is 100% their kid, right?
I think so. I think there's a decent chance of that.
Because it's established that's her nephew, but the only sibling that we know about that I'm aware of is Bo-Katan, and as far as I know, she doesn't have any kids.
Yep, I'm in agreement to that. Also, I mean, like, I think that's ambiguous on purpose. Like, I think the show, like, they don't mention who his mom is or anything like that because I think that's something that, like, they're trying to make clear that he is,
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like, show don't tell, it's the show gives us enough information and trusts us as viewers to put it together.
Yeah, I think so. And plus, I mean, even if it's not true, it's still pretty solid headcanon. I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I mean, he's the right age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think he looks that much like Obi-Wan, but also, too, we only see him once in an animated show.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think it's definitely possible. But, yeah, that pretty much sums up my number 5, though. Yoda and Obi-Wan. Just because as far as, like, the standard council members, like the ones that are, like, had the most screen time in the movies, those guys are my favorite.
Yeah.
For sure.
No, I mean, that a good solid picks.
Yeah. Well, and the reason it's like I put them together too is like they also like they make a great team. I mean they
for sure.
Like anything they do together is guaranteed to be cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And be a big plot point.
So for my number 4, and I'm super excited because we're about to get some more content, is Cal Kestis.
Interesting choice.
Yeah, one, I love Jedi Fallen Order. It's definitely, I think, top 3 favorite Star Wars video games. So I might be a little biased. There's also the hype right now. As we're recording this, we're just like a couple months away from Jedi Survivor coming out. So I'm really excited to see what happens next. So, I mean, this game's been out for years. I think we're okay to talk about spoilers, right?
Yeah. Well, and also, too, I mean, I think as far as our audience goes, I would guess that, like, most people listening to this have probably played Fallen Order.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. Cool. So, I was 100% sure he was going to die in the end. I was like, okay, we never see him again. This is going to be a really fun game, but he's going to die. He's going to die in the end. And I emotionally prepared myself for it.
Yeah. Like, and like on that note, did you watch those, like, those theory YouTube videos where like, it's like, this title is Jedi : Fallen Order. And so like the whole theory was that like the next one would be about someone else.
Oh.
And like there was a whole theory because like the way that the game came out was Jedi : Fallen Order. So it'd just be one story in a Jedi series. And so therefore, like, the internet at one time was also thinking that Cal Kestis was going to die. I remember that.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that, but that's definitely something I would have believed and would have been hyped for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've been like, oh, we're going to see all the Jedi survivors through this game series.
And also, I kind of 100% believe, too, that may have been their original plan. But, like, one of the entire reasons that we're getting another Cal Kestis game is just because of fans. Like, just because of how many people loved Cal Kestis and loved Fallen Order.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great Jedi, and it's a great game. I really enjoyed. It's so funny, like we're talking about Obi-Wan, but just the parallels between Kenobi and this series. Both two Jedis who'd kind of closed themselves off to the Force. They're going on this adventure where they regain it. They somehow end up in the Inquisitor's
grasp.
Yeah, but also their like fortress. I can't remember what it's called. Something.
Oh, Fortress Inquisitorius, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Fortress Inquisitorius. They both end up there, and they both in their series facing off against Darth Vader.
Yeah, that's true. And then also too, it's both early Empire. I mean, different.
Right.
Like, it's within 5 years of each other, but still, I mean, it's both like just the early stages of the Empire, which is always cool because you never get to see that outside of Kenobi and Bad Batch and Fallen Order. So it's very cool.
I really like the parallels between their stories. I really enjoy that, like, I know it's for game reasons, but just the fact that Cal Kestis has zero cares about modifying his lightsaber.
Yeah, he just does whatever he wants.
Right.
It's
And
awesome.
I don't know if you've seen the trailer for Survivor yet, but he gets a crossguard upgrade as well, which he's essentially the game is going to use as like a broadsword version.
Yeah.
So like slower, heavy hits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like so in the first game you could technically do dual sabers instead of the double bladed, but it was only in combos. Now you could just fully decide to have your dual sabers or a single or dual bladed or the crossguard, just whenever you want, just switch as you need.
And also, if you want a pink lightsaber, you can have it. It's awesome.
You can have it, right? Yeah. This man has no cares about modding his lightsaber.
Yeah, which is so cool. Yeah.
I really love the fact that he recognized, like, he saw that there was a chance that if he went and collected the Force-sensitive kids, that they were all going to be caught. He would have been tortured and turned into an Inquisitor. And he didn't take the risk. He said, okay, it's better to just keep these kids away and keep them safe. And I don't think a lot of Jedi would have done that. I think there are other Jedis who would have said, no, I think we should take the risk. We need a Jedi Order. We have to collect them, regardless of what might happen.
Yeah.
And, there's always a possibility, the will of the Force, that they could have made it work, that future wouldn't have come true. But I really like the fact that Cal Kestis just said, no, I can't take this risk. There's too much at stake.
Yeah. It's a wise move on his part.
Yeah. I will admit, I think we talked about it a little bit on the podcast. I was so sure we were going to see Cal Kestis and Obi-Wan interact in Kenobi. Mm-hmm. I was like, Jedi Survivor takes place the same year as Kenobi. It would make total sense.
Yep. Or also, did you notice on Kenobi whenever they mentioned Quinlan Voss?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, whenever Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, Quinlan was here." Yeah. Like I was sure we were going to get to see Quinlan Voss at least. Probably Cal Kestis too. I mean, I was confident that we were going to see one or two or both of them.
Yeah. It would have been great.
Hadn't happened yet. But I mean, there's still time.
There's always season 2.
That's right. And also, I mean, nobody that I know has played the new Jedi Survivor game. I mean, maybe they're in there. I don't know.
Maybe that would be cool to see them interact in the game as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, who do you got for your number 4?
I'll one sec. I just I wanted to tell you also with Fallen Order. This is an unrelated note, pretty much, but one thing that I love is like growing up with the prequels, and also like growing up with like a lot of Legends stuff, whether that was comic books, whatever. Especially comic books though, did like a lot of this. But do you remember how like early in our childhood there was always like media with like a bunch of different lightsaber colors,
Yeah.
like it'd be yellow, like everything. And like there were Jedi with red lightsabers at one point. Like, I mean, it was like really cool, and then that kind of got lost.
Right.
Really, the only weird color we got to see in the prequels was purple. That's pretty much it. And it was only Mace. That was the only one, and so I'm really glad that they brought that back in canon. I think that's really, really cool.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah, I think the only color I can think of that we haven't really seen is brown. I'm pretty sure there was one brown lightsaber somewhere in EU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Brown's not that cool.
Yeah.
As far as a lightsaber color.
I'm sure we'll see it again somewhere one day down the line, but when it happens,
Yeah. I'll be like, whoa, that's awesome, and then that'll be it. So, without further ado, my number 4 is Shakti.
Ooh.
She is my favorite female Jedi.
Interesting.
Yep.
A good pick, but I wouldn't have guessed it.
Dude, she is so cool. I mean, honestly, my favorite thing about her is just, like, she's just such a lady. Like, she's awesome. She's just, very put together, very poised,
Mm-hmm.
And, like, from what I understand, like, the coolest thing about her to me is that, like, kind of like what I was saying with Obi-Wan, is, like, so she also was, known pretty much as like a negotiator type, like the type who could like make deals with you rather than fight with you, and then also like and that was like part of her job, I guess, as a because Jedi counselors, that's what they did, right? The green lightsabers, they were usually the negotiators.
And I believe they're more in tune with the Force.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
But she was again, from what I understand, she was, I think, one of the only consulars who had a blue lightsaber.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. I mean, that's just a little tidbit. But yeah, I mean, like, I really, I like that. Like, that's her personality, I guess, is my favorite part about her. But then, secondly, she clearly is a great fighter. Just like in the expanded universe, being able to beat, as far as in the duel, beat Galen Merrick, Starkiller.
Right.
Like she beats him. Like, he only wins because he cheats. That's it.
Get all force push.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, like, she's also very clearly a good fighter just because she gets picked to train the clone army. That's
right.
And just as far as someone to put on the council, I mean, someone from the council to put as that being their position, I mean, very clearly she is wise and able to kick butt when needed. So also, I want one complaint regarding Shakti is I really I need some confirmation on how she actually dies.
A canon death, right?
She needs. I think we need to, like, we owe that to her.
Right.
Fans.
So
I think she needs something.
let's see. Let's just have a little recap. She dies fighting Grievous in a deleted scene. Or, well, she just gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah, she just gets killed, yeah.
She gets killed by Anakin, again, just stabbed in the back.
Yep.
This is for sure not canon anymore, but Galen Merrick, Starkiller, kills her at one point, and I feel like there's one more. I think
there's a theory, too, that she just gets killed in Order 66, like, at the Jedi Temple. Like, she goes up there and then loses to... I think just clones just shoot her. I don't know.
Those dang clones.
But the thing is,
clones.
But the thing is like she's better than that. You know, like I wish that she would have like, you know, at least like if Anakin stabbed her in the back, or if Grievous stabbed her in the back, like that would make sense to me. Just because my girl Shaak Ti, she's too dangerous to be left alive. You know, like so maybe they just knew they had to kill her. But I just want some confirmation, man. I just want to know. Also, I'd really love to see her go down in a blaze of glory. I think that'd be really cool. But
yeah, like
just
fighting off
get to
like
see her fight
100 clones, and then you know Anakin just comes in. They duel a little bit, but she's been fighting so long. She's tired. She's weak, and yeah.
Yep. I think that would be so cool. Like she just. You know, put some respect on her name. That's all I have to say.
Give her a Boromir scene. Like, she's trying to save some younglings. She takes, like, multiple blaster bolts, but is still up and fighting.
Oh, yeah, dude. Like, that would be
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'd cry, but that sounds awesome.
I also would cry. Especially, like, maybe she dies thinking that she got the younglings away.
Oh, and then Anakin walks in.
Anakin finds them. Yeah.
Oh, that hurt me even to talk about. Ow.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
LL
sorry.
Cool J, how do you do that to me, man?
I know. You know, can't be an Animal Squadron episode without just a little bit of emotional trauma.
Oh, yeah. Yep, what are friends for?
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you have anything else on Shaak Ti?
Not really. I mean, trying to think. I was watching some videos on her last night because I was trying to, you know, I mean, I know typically whenever I talk about lists or whatever, like I'll give a couple reasons and then my other reason will be like, well, it's because she's cool. You know, like,
yeah,
so I wanted,
which is valid.
I wanted some other stuff to talk about. So, yeah, but I think like pretty much like, I think I've hit it. Like as far as her being a consular, a great negotiator, a great fighter. Like you know, she was a Form 2 and Form 4 master.
Oh, sick.
And so like you know, Form 2 that's Dooku's style. For people who don't like follow that, and Yoda even says that like especially approaching the end of what would be her life, she was nearly just as good as Dooku at Form 2.
Okay,
as far as according to Yoda, which is that's a pretty high compliment. That's pretty awesome. But anyways, yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about my girl Shaak Ti.
Nice. Well, for my number 3, I've got good old Obi-Wan.
All right.
Which, you know, we've already talked about a little bit, so I won't go on for too long. But like I said, I love the fact that he goes through, I would say, just as much emotional trauma, maybe in different ways, but just as much as Anakin does, and he stays in the light. He doesn't give up. He doesn't give in to his anger. He doesn't give in to his fear. I love that he really is a skilled fighter, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but I really think he probably would have been the next Grandmaster after Yoda.
I think I agree with that. Because really, who else are you going to pick?
Right? I mean, there's so many other great Jedis, but
yeah,
he's got the dog in him.
He has got that dog in him, and also just like, you know, like we talked about earlier, like he's not the greatest swordsman, he's not the most powerful, but he just manages to still be better than everyone else. Like, it's just, it's awesome.
It's all based on his intelligence. I love how calm he is, and later in his life, I think he really regrets a lot of his decisions. I think he thinks he could have done better with Anakin, but I really don't think so. I think he did the best he could. I think he was a good father figure in the beginning and a good brother to Anakin. Yeah. I think he did a great job. I just think that Palpatine did a better job.
Uh-huh. Yep. Well, and also I think, as far as Anakin goes, there's a lot of stuff that was just outside of Obi-Wan's control. Like, the prophecy had to be fulfilled.
Right.
And so I think just, in one way or another, I think it just had to end that way.
Yeah.
It's just kind of, in order for the story to make any sense at all, that's just what had to happen.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think it was just out of Obi-Wan's control. I think Obi-Wan is just one of those characters that I consistently love, no matter what he's in. The prequels, Clone Wars, Rebels, his own series, the original trilogy, they don't miss with Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah. Well, and also Ewan McGregor in general is just... Yeah. He's so good. Actually, fun fact about Ewan McGregor. I don't know if this is, totally backed up, but I've read this. So his brother is a Royal Air Force pilot.
Oh, okay.
And actually his call sign is OB2.
Nice. Nice.
That's so awesome, dude.
That's really cool.
Yep. And apparently, they're just, two, brothers who, are tight. So, I'm sure they, I know Thanksgiving's not an English holiday, but, they probably, do Christmas together and stuff like that. That's awesome. I love brotherhood.
Yeah. It's really cool.
Yep.
I think my last thing on Obi-Wan, before we move on, whatever it comes down to, either combat, negotiating, force, being just the calm hand that people need, especially during the Clone Wars. He's always got what he needs, essentially. He's always good enough to just handle whatever situation he's in. He's
the Rock. He's the Rock for everyone.
I really think, specifically his little squad, might be the best way to describe it. Him, Anakin, and Ahsoka. Anakin and Ahsoka would have fallen apart without Obi-Wan.
Oh, definitely. Especially with, even, without, getting too crazy. I think without Obi-Wan, first of all, they would have made some dumb decision and gotten killed. I think just, first of all, that's the easy one. And then secondly, I think, emotionally, I think they also would have fallen apart at some point, too. Just because I think, Ahsoka would have gotten really tired of, not feeling like Anakin trusts her. And then Anakin, I think, would have gotten really tired of, her not doing what he says to do, even though he trained her to do that. I think they would have grown apart pretty fast without Obi-Wan.
Man, one of the an Obi-Wan scene that I just rewatched recently was the one where he reached out to Ahsoka during I think the Battle of Mandalore, Fall of Mandalore. I can't remember exactly what that arc is called, but the very last one in Clone Wars, where she fights Maul, and he asks her to talk to Anakin, and he says something along, she calls out the Jedi Council, and he's like, well, the Jedi Council doesn't always make the right decision.
Yep. It's a little bit
And
of
I'm
that
like,
Qui-Gon training coming in.
A little bit of that Qui-Gon, yep. I don't know. I really like that scene. You know, he understands Ahsoka's value. Like, even though she's not a quote-unquote Jedi anymore, he still sees her as a friend, and he still sees that, you know, she can help the universe or the galaxy, and she can help Anakin.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and also that's like for my list, that's a big deal to me as far as Jedi go, is because I think a lot of Jedi, like one of the problems in their order at the point where they are in the movies is they don't see value.
Yeah.
Because they're so detached and they don't have any attachments at all. Just therefore, because I don't love anyone aside from myself, no one has value. Even my fellow Jedi, you know, even my apprentice, even the clone troopers that I'm fighting beside.
Right.
You know, like they don't have value to a lot of Jedi. And that's just another example why Obi-Wan's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So how about you? What's your number 3?
My number 3. Just gotta look really quick, just because. Oh yeah, there we go. So my number 3 is Qui-Gon. Actually,
He had to be here somewhere, right?
dude. I mean, I genuinely believe that, you know, like we talked about earlier, because of the prophecy and because of the role that fate plays in Star Wars, as far as the story and as far as the Force and all that stuff, I do think that no matter what, Anakin would have turned at some point.
Yeah.
But I think with Qui-Gon, things would have been different for sure.
Yeah.
Things would have been a lot different. And it's because I think like Qui-Gon would have been better than Obi-Wan at, like, you know, because like Obi-Wan I think at times was like, well, this is what the council said, so this is what we have to do, you know, whereas Qui-Gon would be like, screw that, man, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, or like you know, and stuff like that. Like I think like he would have been, I think, a better father to Anakin.
Right.
But also, I don't think that they would have been brothers like Anakin and Obi-Wan were.
Yeah, I always saw Anakin and Obi-Wan as like the brothers who lost a parent, and then the oldest one kind of had to step into that parent role. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you could feel it in their relationship, and I think that creates some tension. You know, whereas Qui-Gon, I think it just would have been a different relationship, just because he would have been that father figure that Anakin needed.
Yeah.
And so I actually think, like, as far as Anakin turning, it probably would have had to have been later on in his life.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I think Qui-Gon would have actually had some good advice for Anakin. You know, he goes and he talks to Yoda, and Yoda essentially says, Don't even worry about it. It's not the Jedi way."
Yeah. Yeah,
You
well,
know?
also, yeah. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I think Obi-Wan would have actually, you know, just told him, like, not Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon would have said something along the lines of, like, that sucks, and I see you're hurting, and I'm sorry, and I will help you if I can, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and also Qui-Gon, too, as far as, like, Anakin's fear and why he doesn't tell Obi-Wan about Padme, about the kids, about what's going on, it's just because I don't really feel like Anakin feels like he can. You know, I think he's almost like, he doesn't quite trust Obi-Wan to not report him.
Yeah.
Whereas Qui-Gon, again, just having that father role, that's one thing I do think would have turned out different, is I do think Qui-Gon would have been someone that Anakin could have told, and also would have done the right thing and not necessarily told the council, but continued to help Anakin.
Right. And another point on that is like Obi-Wan and Ahsoka 100% knew that Anakin and Padme were together.
Yeah.
They may not have known they were married. They may not have known she was pregnant, but they definitely knew something was going on. And
I'm talking about Anakin's fear.
Right,
you know?
but
even though they know, but yeah, go ahead.
But
sorry.
my point to that is, I think Qui-Gon also would have known, and I think Qui-Gon would have actually said something. He probably would have pulled Anakin aside and said, "Hey, I know you're trying to hide this. I know you don't want anyone to know, but I know about you and Padme." Like, I think he would have done the, like, fatherly thing of, like, let's have a serious talk about this. And, you know, I'm not really sure if he would have encouraged it or told him, you know, this may not be the best idea. But either way, he wouldn't have just pretended like it wasn't happening, like Obi-Wan and Ahsoka did.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then also, like, you know, like Qui-Gon, I mean, this is my theory, but, like, you know, I don't think that we'd be kidding ourselves at all if we thought that Qui-Gon probably did have that talk with Obi-Wan.
Oh, with Satine?
Yeah, probably did have that talk with him.
100%.
And, you know, I mean, I picture a very supportive talk, you know, but also just helped him to see that she's a distraction from the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I think Qui-Gon may have been able to either help Anakin see that before things get to be too late, or help him realize that maybe the Jedi Order isn't for him.
Yeah. Without
it being like a dramatic, like, I hate you thing. I think it'd be more of just like a, well, you know, Anakin, I think you know what you need to do. And he'd be like, yep. And then they'd hug it out, and then they'd just get it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as Qui-Gon, the Jedi, though, and reasons why he's my top 3 is, I love the Jedi Order. Like I said earlier, it's my favorite faction of Star Wars, honestly, as far as, like, you know, groups of people. But, and, like, I love their values. I love who they are. Like, I think that it's very, very interesting and, in a lot of ways very good, but then also it has its own problems, too. I'm not like the Jedi are perfect kind of person. But,
right.
Anyway, but Qui-Gon, one thing I love about him is his, like, he's willing to, even though, you know, that he's, as far as jobs go, he's a Jedi consular, you know, like, he's supposed to be this advocate, this spokesperson for the Council and the Republic and the Jedi Order, but also, too, he's not their puppet. He does challenge authority. Mm-hmm. And I love that about him. I think it's what makes him a great Jedi, and honestly someone who really, for the events of Star Wars to happen correctly, he had to die. Like, I just don't think that like, he would have, everything would have been changed forever if Qui-Gon was left alive. Yeah.
A massively different story. Something I really like about Qui-Gon is just the fact that he essentially was the opposite of Anakin in the sense that he was a master who wasn't on the council. Mm-hmm. You know, and I think that also would have provided a good conversation between the two of them when, you know, Anakin was added to the council and not granted the rank of master.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so too. And also, like, with Qui-Gon, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't he offered it and he turned it down? Like, he wasn't on one because he doesn't want to be on the council?
Ooh, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from. You know, I mean, there's a lot of things just swimming around up here, and I forget where I read things or watch things, or is it trustworthy information? I don't even know, dude. I just say things. I don't know.
Yeah, that's okay. Me too. Listen, our listeners, they're not here physically with us. They can't call us out.
That's right.
But you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com if you have anything you want to talk about us with us or complaints.
Prove Tuck wrong. Prove Tuck wrong. Yeah, but anyway, that's why I like Qui-Gon. I mean, he's just, I love that he clearly deserves a council spot.
Yeah.
And either wasn't offered it because people didn't want him there, or wasn't offered it because he turned it down. I think that's fair to say. And he's still, like, just, I mean, he's such a good Jedi. I mean, he just, and then also, too, I mean, like, as far as Qui-Gon goes, like, his master was Dooku, like, I think if anyone was going to have a leaning toward the dark side, it would probably be Qui-Gon because of who his master was.
Right.
And still, even with the don't trust the council, don't just, like, believe everything the Jedi say, don't believe everything the Republic says, like, be your own person, the free spirit that Qui-Gon was, he still doesn't let that temptation get to him. He still doesn't turn, even though, like, he most definitely had access to it. Like, I'm sure, like, Count Dooku probably talked to him several times about dark side related stuff, especially with his what's it called? Like his aptitude for prophecies and some of the dark arts.
Right,
quote unquote,
Which, timeline-wise, Count Dooku didn't become a Sith officially until after Qui-Gon died, but I definitely think he was probably leaning that way before then.
Absolutely, and then also, like, Tales of the Jedi, and we talked about this in that episode, I mean, just look at the way that Dooku treats Qui-Gon. I think it's very clear that he has been leaning toward the dark side for a long time.
Yeah.
And whether he knows that or not at the time, I think is a whole nother debate. But yeah, I mean, I think, like, he most certainly at least leans that way, and Qui-Gon would have seen that and been taught that.
Right.
But he still denies it. Yeah.
Something I really liked with Tales of the Jedi is that Qui-Gon got in the way of Dooku killing that, what was he, a senator?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he, even as a, not necessarily a youngling, but a young Padawan, he saw the darkness in Dooku, and he still, like, stood up against it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's just, Qui-Gon's the best, man.
Qui-Gon's the best. Yeah, I don't think a lot of Padawans would have done that. They would have been like, all right, my master knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just that challenging of authority that I think is what makes Qui-Gon great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then also, it's what made Obi-Wan great, is because that was his master. He was able to see kind of a duality of the Jedi, and that they aren't entirely good, but they also aren't entirely bad. Like, it's, we still want to be Jedi, even though we don't agree with everything. I think that's cool.
Definitely. Anything else on Qui-Gon before we move on?
No, other than, like, I'd sure like to see more of Qui-Gon. I think, like, he's a longtime fan favorite that just really hasn't gotten a whole lot of screen time.
Yeah. Well, hopefully in the if we get Kenobi season 2.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'd like to see a live Qui-Gon too.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Like, I think, like, a Tales of the Jedi thing about, like, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, like, early on or something. That would be cool.
Yeah, maybe it's a a Qui-Gon focused thing, but maybe we can see how Obi-Wan and Satine met.
Yeah, that's true. Or even like, how Obi-Wan became Qui-Gon's Padawan. I know it's long been theorized anyway that like that was kind of an accident. Like, like Obi-Wan, like Qui-Gon wasn't necessarily the I want a Padawan type.
Gotcha.
And so I think like that'd be cool to get to actually see that and make that canon. That'd be awesome. Yep.
For sure. So for my number 2, had to do it. Anakin Skywalker.
All right. Why?
I think because he's awesome. And
you're pulling the tuck. I got it.
No, I really love Anakin. I love the story that he goes through. I'm a personal believer. I mentioned this earlier, but I really do think it was Anakin who brought balance to the Force. My own personal headcanon is that the Jedi and the Sith were bringing unbalance to the Force. And they needed to die. They needed essentially a reset. And he did that. He killed off the Jedi. I know it wasn't just him, but it was through his actions. Without him, it wouldn't have happened. I very strongly believe that, let's say Palpatine beat Mace in Order 66. If Anakin was still in the temple, that temple wouldn't have fallen. I mean, not only would it have been him there fighting with the Jedi, but also you have to consider all of the Jedi he killed that would have stayed alive to fight clones.
Yeah, because I mean, he was clearly headhunting. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he was killing the people that would have been the most dangerous.
Right. Right.
Like the Shock T's of the world and the, and like Mace, like had Mace Windu lived, I think that would have been a very big deal.
Yes.
Kit Fisto would have been a big deal.
We do know that he went after the librarian. I don't remember her name.
Acosta Nu.
Yeah. There's also
Jocasta Nu, my bad.
It's the older Jedi from episode 3, the video game. We get to fight him and his apprentice in the temple. We know Anakin kills him. And I believe we're actually going to get to see him officially in The Mandalorian.
Wait, whose apprentice?
All right, so episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the video game, the one Mac always complains that you kick his butt.
Yep.
There's I don't remember his name, but there's an older Jedi, long white hair.
Oh, yeah, okay. And then also, like, he's also in Force Unleashed 2, right? And you hunt him down.
Oh, maybe.
He's got a green lightsaber, and, like, oftentimes, like, he's got long, like, white hair.
Yes, I know who you're talking about, but I think these are two different people. I just think aesthetically there are some similarities.
Just basic Jedi human old man, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure we're gonna get to see his official canon death here in The Mandalorian Season 3. I think it was this Jedi and 3 others that were guarding Grogu.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and Grogu was in the library?
I'm
so
not
Jocasta Nu was protecting him?
Jocasta Nu.
She's the old librarian lady.
Sorry, not the librarian. This older male Jedi.
Okay.
Who I'm so sorry. I probably should have looked up his name.
You're good.
We see in the Mandalorian Season 3 trailer, there's a Jedi that essentially looks... We only see him from the back, so it could be someone else, but essentially looks like this older man with 3 other Jedi. They're guarding Grogu. We see a glimpse of this scene as well in Season 2. And I'm pretty sure either Anakin or the clones are breaking through. So I think we're finally going to get an answer to how he died, but also how Grogu escaped here in Season 3.
Yeah.
Anyway, my whole point to this is, like, Anakin brought the downfall of the Jedi, and through his actions, he also killed the last two Sith, technically. He killed Palpatine and reverted back to the light side, which, couldn't have happened without Luke, but, he turned back to the light side and there were no more Sith. And we do get to see dark side users in the future, but I strongly believe that both orders needed a reset, and the Force used Anakin to do this.
Yeah. I think last episode, whenever we were talking about the ranking of the movies, I had said, and we had talked about that Anakin is the main character.
Yeah.
He's who Star Wars is about.
Yeah, it's the original and prequel trilogies really are the fall and redemption of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. Yeah, and Luke, he's a very, very, very close second.
Oh, yeah.
To all the original trilogy fans that want to kill us after we say this. But,
right.
I think that Anakin is the one who fulfills the prophecy. He is the chosen one.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree. He is a fantastic Jedi. A lot of their victories in the Clone Wars were because of him. I don't think he was as good of a master as Obi-Wan was, but I do think he was a very good master through Ahsoka. He really genuinely cared about her. I think aside from, episode 2 was a little awkward, but I really like him and Padme's relationship. I think he was a good husband, aside from, the Force choking.
And also the never being there and the...
Right, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But I think he tried his best. I think he really tried his best.
I really do. Like, I don't think a lot of people would have handled that. I don't think most people would have handled a war of that scale and being secretly married as well as he did.
Oh yeah, well, and also just to bring up a Jedi who didn't do the right thing. Think about Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a lot of people think that he's trash. I honestly agree, but so his species is dying. He gets a specific okay to basically get married and have a family, and so that his species can live.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just leaves them. Just, I'm not supposed to have attachments. Bye, everyone. Take care of your mom, 2-year-old kid. Bye.
He went out for milk and never came back.
Yeah, he did, and he's trash. And that's why, and then he consistently doesn't, he's one of the problem people in the Jedi Order just because, he doesn't recognize value. He's who I was talking about earlier with, there's Jedi out there that don't recognize value at all. But, back to the original point, Anakin does.
Yes.
And that's part of what makes him good.
And yes, and maybe he values things a little too much.
Yes.
You know, but he does. He values his wife. He values his family, and I think he really is a good Jedi, and I think he just kind of got screwed over by prophecy. Anakin's life is a tragedy. I think. Until his very last moment where he betrays Palpatine, he never really was free. He was a slave as a child, and then he was in the Jedi Order where, he wasn't a slave, but he was still forced to follow a strict set of rules. Mm-hmm. He goes through this incredibly tragic event, losing his mother, the fear of losing Padme, and sadly he falls to the dark side where again he essentially becomes a slave to Palpatine, and he never really is free until those last couple moments. Yep.
And that is insightful, my friend.
Yeah. And I mean, let's just be honest, name many other Jedi who kill off the Sith Order.
I don't think any of them, right?
That's what I'm saying. He's got the dog in him.
No, Anakin is that dog.
He is that dog. I mean, he did what Yoda couldn't.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I really do like Anakin, and I think he deserves his number 2 slot, and I think you'll be a little surprised by my number 1. But what do you got, number 2?
Kit Fisto.
Now I'm surprised.
Yep. Dude, I love Kit Fisto. I always have. But so first of all, like, the dude can breathe underwater. And his lightsaber works underwater. Which before Clone Wars, that was like always like a, you know, I guess I was thinking like the original Clone Wars. I mean the
2D miniseries.
Yeah. Like that was one of the first things I remember about him. Kit Fisto.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, he was the only one who could use his lightsaber underwater, and he's just, you know, that's cool.
It really is.
But as far as other stuff that's come out about him, and more reasons to love him, is, you know, he was one of the, again, Jedi Consular. So, extraordinary at making peace and trying to be that advocate and that leader for the Jedi Council. Council member, and well, I guess like he's a council member later though, right? Didn't we determine that at another episode? Like, doesn't he become a council member like during the Clone War?
Yes, during the Clone Wars, he becomes a council member.
And you know, I mean, I think he takes that seriously. Like, I think definitely Kit Fisto was one of those who was trying his best to make the Order and the Republic as great of a place to be as he could. I think he was, you know, doing anything he could to make that happen.
Yeah.
Also, he, like, just seeing him in Clone Wars, I love who he is. You know, like, he's one of those that is an advocate for the clones, you know, as far as treating them like people and giving them names and, like, you know, calling them by their names and that they aren't just a number. And then also, like, you know, how he treats Ahsoka. He and Plo Koon both, I think, are very important as far as Ahsoka's story goes, because I think those two were just two father figures that she could really look up to.
Yeah.
And that also, like, took that mantle seriously. Like, they were those people that you would want to turn out to be.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also Kit Fisto, I forget which saber form he uses. I don't remember. But, you know, he's able to nearly beat Grievous by himself in Clone Wars. And that's also after he loses his former apprentice, now Jedi Knight, without losing it. You know, he's very calm that whole time. He's doing what he does best. He's hiding in the shadows, and then when you least expect it, he just leaps out.
Pops out at you. Yep, you gotta do it to him.
My main man Kit, he's awesome. And I really still stand by that. I know all the behind the scenes stuff, but, like, I really think he got kind of dealt an unfair hand as far as his on-screen death. You know,
I completely agree.
I really think he would have lasted longer than he did.
Yeah. And, you know, maybe one day we'll get a re-edit of that scene.
Yeah, I really hope so.
Yeah. Even just a fan edit, I'd be down for.
Yeah.
A stop motion.
Dude,
I'd take
claymation.
motion.
I don't even care.
Hell yeah.
Claymation that. I don't even, whatever.
No, he really is a cool Jedi. He's one of those Jedi. I think it's so funny looking at, like, his live screen versus animated
Yes.
He looks so funky in live action.
Yes, he does. Animation did that man some favors.
Yeah, for sure. He needed it. He needed it.
Yep.
I also love the meme of like, have you seen it comparing him in Attack of the Clones versus Revenge of the Sith?
And how he gets worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that before.
It's so funny.
They did my man dirty.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Well, are you ready to move on to our honorable mentions?
Yep. I'm
Dope.
ready.
And I think honorable mentions, we should kind of just, like, real quick, just these are what we have, maybe really short summaries, not
Okay.
quite as in-depth.
Okay. Sounds good.
Do you want to take it away? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So my two honorable mentions are Anakin,
All
for
right.
reasons we talked about earlier. I just don't really think that he shouldn't be on my list, just because
Yeah.
he is the greatest Jedi ever
For sure.
for a lot of reasons. And then Mace Windu.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
And that's based off of sheer power.
Gotcha.
Like, Mace Windu, honestly, is not my favorite Jedi as a person. I think
Yeah.
he is
Little
partially what's
stinky.
wrong with the Order. I think he's too hard on Anakin. I think he's too hard on everyone. And then also, too, just his apathy kind of drives me crazy. As far
Yeah.
as like, oh, well, that's what we were told, so that's just what we're going to do.
Right.
And that's canon, like that's even in Tales of the Jedi. That's, there are so many times when Mace could do the right thing and he just doesn't because he wasn't told to. And I think
Yeah.
that speaks out a lot about his character. But as far as power level, he is one of the greatest Jedi ever.
Oh, for sure.
And I definitely think that he should be on the list, at least as an honorable mention because of that. So.
I completely agree.
Yep.
So for my two, I've got Galen Merrick, good old Star Killer. I know he's not canon yet. Not canon yet. But I really enjoyed his story, going from Vader's secret apprentice to like one of the founding members of the rebellion. I really love that. And I'm hoping that, I know that, especially in terms of the founding of the rebellion thing, they've changed it a lot. Like we've clearly seen through Rebels and Rogue One and Andor that there's a very different start to the rebellion. But I still hope we could see Galen putting helping the rebellion start in some fashion in the future. And then for my other honorable mention, gotta have Luke Skywalker. He's gotta be on here.
I respect
he really is a fantastic Jedi. The prophecy could not have been fulfilled without him, and I think he would have actually made top 5 if it wasn't for how they did him in the sequels.
Yeah.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I will never forgive them for making Mark Hamill sad.
Yep.
Mac and I have talked about it, but Tuck, have you looked up his interviews where he talks about Luke in the sequels? Go watch some of them. It's heartbreaking. He hates Luke in the sequels.
Yeah. Well, he worked on that character for what's now 44 years nearly.
Yeah.
And they just threw that in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, no, like that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I hate it for him. I think I'd be mad too, or upset, just because like you were this this thing that like every kid of that generation that watched those movies looked up to.
Mm-hmm.
And you were this great hero in what is one of the best movie series of all time.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. It's at this point, it's Americana. It's that big of a deal. It's
Yeah.
so ingrained into our culture that it might as well be in a history book. You know, it's crazy. But anyways,
I'm sure it is somewhere.
yeah, probably. But you know, I hate it for him that just all that got thrown in the garbage.
Yeah.
And that he was just asked to be a Luke that he's not.
But even with the sequels, he still is a great Jedi in the original trilogy. I always get excited. I always get excited to watch it just to see Luke's journey and him fully, like, actually become a Jedi at the end of Return of the Jedi. But yeah, just fantastic Jedi. Couldn't have made this list without talking about him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should we get to our number ones?
Yep, you first.
Cool. All right, it's Ahsoka Tano.
Wait, she's not a Jedi.
That's true.
No, I'm just kidding. I knew you were gonna do that. I knew you were gonna do that.
That is
go
true.
ahead, Elijah.
She does officially leave the Jedi Order. I'm a strong believer that Ahsoka is such a great Jedi that she should have been a part of Luke's new Jedi Order. She should have been the one to step in and say, hey, you know, I was there. These are the mistakes the Jedi's made, and here's how we could have here's how we can improve and be a better Jedi in the future. I love her story arc. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the reasons she is my favorite Jedi. I hated Ahsoka in the original Clone Wars movie and like the first season of Clone Wars.
I won't even watch it.
I couldn't stand her. And part of that was lore. I was like, no, that's not right. We never see her in episode 3 or hear about her. Why would they just randomly add an apprentice? This doesn't make any sense. But then she slowly went to like, oh, okay. Well, I can accept this. This is how it is. I'm sure they'll explain it eventually to, I kind of like this character, to, oh my God, this is my favorite character of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe not favorite character of all time, but I think favorite Star Wars character overall. I love her story arc. I love seeing her in Clone Wars and Rebels, and getting to see her in Mandalorian was awesome. Getting to see her and Luke together was awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw, but Dave Filoni just put out a statement where he was saying that for the Ahsoka series, there's a scene that he's been thinking about for, I think, 6 years. I might be wrong on that timeline, but, you know, definitely a few years, and how excited he is to finally, like, show us that scene.
Wow.
So I am super excited. I think the Ahsoka series is my most anticipated Star Wars project.
Yeah, dude, I'm also really looking forward to it, and I'm not good with actor names. What's her name? Who's playing
Rosaria Dawson? I think
her first name is Rosaria or something like that. I just don't remember her last name. But anyway, my point is that I love her. I think that she plays like because, like, just being real, I don't think it would have worked if she was playing like a young live action Ahsoka.
Yeah.
But older, mature Ahsoka is so cool, and I think she does a great job of that.
Yeah, she really does. I love that she's got the dual lightsabers.
And they're white.
Yeah. I will admit, I'm a little sad. We talked about this in our Tales of the Jedi, but that we didn't get to see her purify the Inquisitor's crystals. I love the new lore on the lightsaber crystals. Like, again, I'm a big lore guy. I was pretty upset when they changed it, but like this new lore on how the kyber crystals work, like the bleeding and purification of them, is so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah, and also like my favorite thing about it is that it's Ahsoka who does that. You know, it's I think just the beautiful thing is that the redemption of those crystals directly reflects her redemption.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, just what's better poetry than that? You know, like it's beautiful. It really is.
I think Ahsoka is the perfect example of what a Jedi should be, and I think it's so poetic that, like, she is this perfect example and isn't even a Jedi anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I'm such a strong believer that she's the perfect person to come beside Luke, to rejoin the Jedi Order and, like, make it better, make it something good.
Yeah.
You know, which sadly I don't think we're ever going to see. I think we will get a couple more Luke and Ahsoka scenes, but I don't think we'll ever see her as a Jedi again at this point. And that kind of breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah. Same here. It does.
But yeah, I really like her combat style. Just everything she goes through in Clone Wars is wild. Again, same thing. A child, let's be real, a child soldier
Yeah.
goes through all of this emotional trauma, probably has PTSD, you know, gets kicked out of the Order, still has to fight for them. You know, they still call upon her to help out in the war.
Yep.
We get the devastating civilian line from Mace Windu.
Yep.
And she stays on the light side.
She does. And it's because, like, she is the light side.
Yeah. Yes.
In a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's another hot take today, but yeah.
And this is the last thing I'll say, but I really enjoy her relationship with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and essentially the fact that she has two masters. I know she's officially Anakin's Padawan, but I think she takes a lot from Obi-Wan.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. And also, again, it's just Obi-Wan is the rock for her.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's someone that she can go to when she has questions about a decision Anakin made, or when she doesn't feel right about something, or when she's upset by something.
Mm-hmm.
Obi-Wan's there for her.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, like a master should be.
For sure. For sure. All right, T-Nell, last one. Who you got?
I don't think I'm surprising anybody, but I just want to say, Plo Koon, baby.
Hell yeah.
Plo
Hell
Koon.
yeah.
I finally get to talk about him live.
Not just us sending in memes of him dying.
Yep, and I'm sure one's probably coming my way at some point, but he's just so cool. I love Plo Koon. Like, so even just to start, like, as far as talking about Jedi that embody the light side and embody, like, what a Jedi should be, Ahsoka's probably the best at it, but Plo Koon's up there. He's
for sure.
He's up there.
For sure.
The man comes from a race that has, like, you know, their own, like, sages and light side force wielders that aren't Jedi, but he's one of them. And now, I mean, he's a Jedi in the traditional sense of he was taken as a small child and raised there, but, like, still that some of those powers are there. Like, one of my favorite things about him, just as far as just sheer, like, this is cool, is Force Judgment. The light side Force Lightning. Oh my gosh. Like, that is just so cool. And then also, like, his connection to the Force being strong enough to where like animals, plants, clones, people, other Jedi, he treats them all as if they're part of the Force, and like he understands that they are.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he's in tune with it so much that he loves them and treats them like he would himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's such a good guy. And you know, he's in the movies, he's very quiet. I don't think he even has a single line. But
yeah, I don't think so.
Getting to watch him in Clone Wars and actually getting to hear him talk for the first time, and actually like getting to know more about him other than what I've found on the internet from fangirling over him. You know, like actually getting to see him really in a series, and like, you know, that he is that guy that holds up to everything I've read about him.
He is him.
He is him, dude.
Yeah.
He is. And also, again, like, he's one of those where, like, dude, if he didn't die in that plane crash, I think things would have been a lot different.
I think so.
Really do.
I was thinking about it. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking about slipping a meme over, and then I was like, nah, Mac's not here. I won't do Tuck dirty. I won't do Tuck dirty. But
do it when I least expect it.
I think it would have been one of those things where, one, he probably would have done pretty good fighting against the clones. I don't know if he would have survived, but probably one of the best that we saw. Took a lot of clones with him. But also, I think the close relationship that he had with his clones, there would have been some internal resistance against the chips. Now, I do think, you know, the chips would have won out. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I think, like I said, I think there would be some resistance.
Yeah. But also, too, I think he's powerful enough in the Force where he could have even healed a few of them.
Maybe he would have used his Force judgment to shock the chips out of their head.
I was thinking more of just like, you know, using his attunement with all things the Force to basically just kill the chip.
Nice.
Yep.
Use the Force to just flip that on switch to off.
Yep.
Flick.
And then just give him a big old Plo Koon hug, which I'm sure he does.
It's gonna be okay. Now, you gotta go kill a lot of your brothers because they're killing everybody.
But don't worry, I'll buy you ice cream after. It'll be all right.
Don't worry. You guys march up, tell the other clones you killed me, and then just slaughter them. And then we'll go get ice cream.
Yeah, no, he's just, I mean, and also like just the father figure, again, that like that he and Kit Fisto are to Ahsoka. I really think that is a really big part of who she is.
Yeah.
You know, I know
I completely agree.
Anakin's her master, and Obi-Wan is, you know, probably her main rock that she can rely on. But Kit and Plo, man, they are too, and also they're everyone's rock. Everyone loves them.
Yeah.
You know, like even down to their clones. Everyone loves them.
And
you know,
I really do think that Plo Koon is a fantastic example that you can love people without like letting that attachment overtake you, because you cannot convince me he didn't love Ahsoka. You cannot convince me he didn't love his clone troopers or his fellow Jedi, the people of the galaxy. Like, he deeply loved people, but I think it's one of those things where like he loved everyone so deeply that like it hurt when people died, but he wasn't overtaken by that attachment because he realized that there's still, like, even if someone he loved died, there's still value in everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then also I think, you know, he was definitely someone who would have found peace in that they're one with the Force.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah, 100%.
And also, I mean, I really think that, you know, I mean, I don't think he had a whole lot of time to think, but I think honestly that he probably died peacefully. Just knowing that I finally get to be one with the Force. Like I've always been trying to.
Yeah.
And he's so cool. And also I like the that he loved everybody thing you just said. Like, I think like the coolest thing about Plo Koon to me is that like he loved like to the point where he would sacrifice, you know, like and love, I think in a lot of ways is sacrifice. And like Plo Koon, I really think if it came down to it, he would die for every single one of his clone troopers. If it came down to it. And also I think he would die for Ahsoka. I think he would die for Mace Windu, even though I don't even think they probably got along that great.
Probably not. I think fundamentally they disagreed on a lot of things, but I agree.
But I think deep down he saw the man rather than his enemy. You know, he was just one of those that like, I think he just really believed that his enemy wasn't the person. His enemy was these other dark forces around. And so I think he found ways to love everyone, and I think that that's just what a Jedi should be.
They had to kill him off. He would have therapy sessioned Palpatine to the light side.
Yeah, he would have, or I think he would have just kicked his butt. One of the two. Like,
yeah.
And that's what I love about him too. Is like he's no joke. You know, he's not like a little weenie boy. Like Plo Koon also can fight. Like he's also got that dog in him. Yep. He's awesome. But yeah, continue about what you think he would do with Palpatine.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I could 100% see Palpatine, you know, shooting his lightning and Plo Koon using his Force judgment and Palpatine just, like, stopping and being shocked, like, wait, what's going on here?
Is that orange lightning? What is that?
Maybe I only picked the dark side because they had lightning.
Dude,
you guys got any openings?
Dude, you know what would have been just so cool is like the same scene, like Palpatine shoots lightning at him and then he like absorbs it like Yoda, and then Palpatine's like, oh, I've seen this move before, and then he just swallows it and then just hits him with Force judgment. That would be cool. That,
so one thing I will like give credit to the sequels, that sound effect when Palpatine like shoots his lightning into the air and starts hitting all the ships, so good. And that's the sound I imagine Plo Koon or the sound it would make as Plo Koon sent it back.
Yep. Yeah, and then also like, you know, they always say that Force judgment like isn't as powerful as dark side lightning and all that stuff. But I do think Plo Koon's Force judgment would have been one of the most powerful ones because he is the embodiment or one of the embodiments of the light side. You know, like,
yeah,
I think like, you know, so with dark side lightning, a lot of the power is fueled by your hate and your anger and your selfishness and stuff like that. I have to think that Force judgment is probably fueled by your love and your discernment and your character and like your light side qualities. I think would make that more powerful. And so, I mean, really, truth be told, I think Force judgment would be pretty powerful coming out of Plo Koon's fingertips. I really do.
I 100% agree. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that was our top 5, top 8/7.
Really, more than anything, we just hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you guys want to be a part of this conversation, you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com. We'd love to get the chance to talk with you guys, to answer some of your questions, concerns. If we got anything wrong, feel free to email us. And we'll see you in the next one. For the Animal Squadron, this has been Mother Goose.
And the Minot.
See you, everybody.